Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday. 0 days without a glitch.
Yeah, I think did I burp on air? Was I too busy burping on air
Was
in the
that what was
intro?
happening? You
I
pulled
don't
us
know. I
down. You
did.
pulled us
So
down and forgot to put us up. But see, you're making up with it for it with
straight to the
Strike.
cat.
Strike
Save me,
coming
cat.
by. How are you? Not long time no see. Devin says we have a massive echo. Is that both of us or just Pat? Anyone? I can't hear
I
it.
don't hear any echo.
All right. Well, we'll just wait till we get more feedback. Get it? Feedback? Haha. How are you? What's going on? What's happening?
I'm good. So since the cat is here and saying hello, it's a good time to tell you that after 2 weeks of being fantastic, I woke up with this little bastard peeing on me today.
Pat, so. I honestly
put her to sleep. Is that what you're saying?
No, but like, wait, what? Like, did she wait to see the whites of your eyes and then start the urine, or like what? I don't understand. So you woke up to her peeing on you.
Yeah, so I fell asleep on the couch, as I do pretty much every single day of my life.
Okay.
And in the exact same spot where she had been sleeping with me all night, I woke up and I'm like, it's kind of warm. And sure enough, she hit me. So there you go. But
she was still doing it, or you woke up and you were drenched?
No, I woke up mid. She
oh my God. And what do you
it's
say?
Just a little bit. It's not like a puddle, but it's just,
it's like, I know, but cat pee is like notorious for its smell. What do you say when that happens? Maybe you're too encouraging. Maybe you're too kind. She needs to know.
No, I mean, I've like chucked her when I realize it's a reflex. As soon as you realize you chuck the cat. I can't help it. But
which is probably worse because then the pee sprays everywhere that's on you instead of being able to like.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's on a blanket. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, look, here's the positive of it.
Okay, tell me.
That woke me up and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a shit day, which you shouldn't have that attitude. But immediately I realized, oh, I forgot to move my car, and my car was parked in the street and it's sweep cleaning.
She's a hero.
Street cleaning day. And I go out there and I didn't get a ticket. So, universe isn't all good or bad. It's just.
Wow, you're so zen. Look at you. Yeah. You really are the positive one of the two of us. It's crazy. That's crazy.
We might need a third person here with us then, because if I'm our positivity, we're in trouble.
Listen, the fact that you can greet the day and find the silver lining in getting peed on by your sweet kitty is just a real tribute to you and your attitude in life. You're positive.
If you didn't have this sexy tail and wasn't constantly entertaining, I could see it being different. But
well, I think that you are very kind. You're much kinder than I am. Cheers to you.
Cheers to me. Let's make me the cheers today.
Cheers to our wonderful pup heroes and sheroes. I keep threatening that we're going to make it a scroll, but I feel like we should do that soon. Just make it into a scroll because the numbers keep growing. We are so grateful to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers to all of you. Thank you. I'm going to have my first sip of wine.
And you can't get off the hook without a story or something. I got a small talk. You got a small talk. These are the rules.
I know. I don't have a ton to say. I've mostly just been enjoying having my sons home. I really do. I love it. We watch shows together. It's my favorite thing. Never get off the couch. We had a really great guest on Sunday. We had Taylor Lorenz on, and at one point I was really brain foggy and a little scattered that evening. And I said something during the show like, oh, I've had COVID once and I'm going to blame my brain fog on that. Although the truth is it probably is my, NutraSweet or whatever it is, what's aspartame and phentermine and alcohol and age. So there's a lot of things that lead up to this brain fog of mine. But I said I had COVID once, and I think I'm going to blame it on that. And somebody online keeps like posting things about laughing at this girl saying she's only had COVID once. And I don't know which thing that means, but I wish if this woman knew what a homebody I am, and that like if I ever go anywhere, I wear a mask or I'm outdoors, but mostly I don't go anywhere. It would be more believable probably. And I do test quite a bit. Like if I mean, obviously we could all have had it asymptomatically, but like anytime I even have a sniffle or my throat, I take a test for like 4 years now. So I really do think that probably I've only had it one time, but I don't know. I was like, I'm not lying about it. Anyway.
Yeah, I think her comment was weird because I thought she might have been a COVID denialist, and I looked at her page and she had stuff about long COVID on there.
Yeah, no, I think she just thinks like I'm a moron for thinking that I've only had it once when most people have had it multiple times, or that I was lying, or that I'm just not aware, and whatever. Anyway, this is all just to say, what'd you say?
I was just going to say, in related news, my boss again has not COVID.
Oh my God.
It syncs with just about 10 days after his trip. So, not COVID is definitely not COVID. He gets in like, oh, I'm so sick this weekend. It was crazy, but I'm much better now.
Unbelievable. And yeah, I mean,
did you test for COVID? He's like, well, I can smell and taste things. So it's not COVID. That was what he said.
Okay. Welcome to 2020.
I think a lot of people are probably thinking that because you hear from all these people, it's not COVID, and they never have tested though.
They don't test, or they test once and the tests are out of date. They're not as sensitive to the newest variants, or you're supposed to take them, 2 days later, even with a negative. And I mean, there's all different reasons that it might not show up on a test, even if it is COVID.
Sure. But I think I would say like 80% of people don't test when they're sick. Honestly. Yeah. I think it's that high.
I mean, I am sure that most people do not test at all. They don't care. And yet they are still, and I say this all the time, but like if COVID were just like a cold, people would just be like, oh yeah, no, it's just COVID. And they never do that. They always say like, it's just allergies. It's just a cold. Nobody is ever like, oh yeah, no, it's just COVID. Because they know, of course, it's a big deal to have COVID. But anyway, favorite part for Pat of the whole show is when we remind everybody, please make sure to like and subscribe and smash that notification bell. And thank you for those of you who, who share the show or who write comments. All of those things really help with engagement. So thank you. We really appreciate that so much.
Absolutely. And the comments, I guess, make a big deal. We recently learned that. So
yeah.
Tell me how much I'm right if you'd like.
Yeah.
It's probably the most important feedback I could get.
With no one around, sometimes we text each other and I'll be like, Lila's right, Pat. It's the truth. All right. Hello. It is so good to see everybody here. Pat's always right. I'm gonna have to block some people now. No, I'm kidding.
I love reflective.
I know. Pat's favorites.
Very wise. So
very wise, yeah.
Shall we get to the good stuff? The cheers?
Yeah, let's cheers. And this might cancel us right away or get us blocked because it's going to be copyrighted. But fair use, we're commenting on a comedian's tirade. Bill Burr, telling the truth.
And I'm pushing the button.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every fucking month and now we finally need you and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that fucking CEOs are fucking afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy fucking pieces of shit. And a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, he was just, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Yep. Love it. Love him, make CEOs afraid again. And yeah, they're mass murderers and have nothing to do with healthcare at all.
Yeah, and we have a lot on that tonight. Like a lot of the show is going to be on healthcare and how the media is looking at both sides of the story, our side and their side, how they cover issues differently. So
yeah, who's a criminal? Who gets to kill? Who gets to kill and who doesn't get to kill? It's
spoiler
there's
alert.
actually no rhyme or reason except it's who helps the capital class, basically, on some level. Then it's all fine. That's all it's about. Capitalism every single time. The answer is always capitalism. I feel like you're jonesing for me to put that wheel up.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I don't know. I see you like looking as your beer.
No,
empty.
I was just,
Yeah.
I'm just, if I'm in deep thought, I'm thinking about my beer, which is Blanket Gremlin from
I like
Revision
it.
Brewery.
I like it. Blanket Gremlin.
Tasty.
All right.
All right,
Keeps
spin
me
away.
happy.
Let's go.
Look at that. See, I knew it was time for. All right, wait, all right. I'll fill up. Quick second glass, and then.
Yeah, baby.
All right.
We need to have one show where we bring the shots back and just get sloppy drunk.
I know, we probably should. And also, like, new drinks. We need new drinks.
Some winter drinks. Maybe we'll do a winter drink.
Yeah, winter toddies. All right.
What do we land on there?
Timeline cleanse.
Oh, okay. Let's winter, and you brought it up, so this fits. Musical interlude.
Try not to be a cunt, it's Christmas. Take a tip from Santa's helm. The rest of us are doing our best to be jolly. So don't go looking like you swallowed a bunch of holly. Don't shout and carol, sing us and tell them to stop. Don't buy your presents from the Oxman shop. A box angry Jerry, have another sherry. Try not to be a cunt. Try not to be a cunt. Up in the reindeer, I'm sleighing up to Lapland. Try not to be a cunt. C-U-N-T, country, country, cunt.
That's one of my favorite words, especially because it really annoys so many people. I love it. And
I love that
Holly,
word
having the
too.
eggnog,
It's
look at
one
that.
where I now reserve it for men because there's something British about it when you say it to a man.
Yeah.
But if you say it to a woman as a guy, it's iffy at best.
I think it's probably not great
not for
yet
me.
for you. I get to say it to anybody I want.
But I can say it to a man, I think,
You
right?
can absolutely say it to
Thank
a
you.
man. Yeah. You can move to, you move to the UK and you get to say it whenever you want. But I love it. No, I think that we should take the power back from all the words. I don't like words being off limits. I think it's good.
Amen. Although I don't want any excuse to ever say the N-word. Trust me.
I know. But I will say that, I mean, and I don't have any need to say that word at all, but dark and stormy, look at that. But I also feel like it's
just
too
a
bad
word.
that any one word should have so much power,
You should be able to discuss it, and like just that I said the word in a discussion of the word. I mean, there's like,
right.
It's just a little ridiculous. But like,
Yeah.
I work every day with a black owner of the business, and I worked with this kid who also served time. And but when I worked with him every day, the kid, he N-bombed after every word, like my N, and
Right.
And I was so paranoid with the show, and I would never say it, but it's just like what I'm listening to all day. So like one day, if it slipped out or something, like it would be the weirdest anomaly ever, but it'll also be related to that, not some deep rooted racism or something. You know what I mean?
I totally understand that. And it's like, if you ever meet somebody who is, like a born again Christian, like they really don't want to hear any swear words right away. That's what comes out. It's just sort of like, it's like, I've got some,
Correct.
I was going to say that. And I was like, oh God, is that ableist if I say that? See, like I am very worried. I don't want to get canceled. Okay, I think we should hash it out, right?
I do believe you're right. Let's get into it. We flipped our shit show to hash it out.
What did you do?
It's shit show today.
Yeah.
Even our graphic was shit show. Or just since we did Wednesday.
I didn't even notice that. All right. One of the things that I love by the way, I'm looking at my coloring, which is all the same as normal, but it's a little chilly here, which I never say. And because it's not my pasty white skin, it's affecting the camera and the lights and everything, and I look orange. So anyway, nothing's changed. Don't worry. I don't have jaundice or whatever, ableism. Okay, here I go again. But it's just I put on a shirt and my pasty white skin isn't showing. And then also I was reading comments, and I love that even though everybody is telling me that you're right, don't worry. They're all in the chat saying Pat's right. But Jenna said that I have her saying vile. So
Nice.
I got a little bit of a shout out. All right. We have got you guys, thank you. And then see, I'm sitting here fishing for compliments, and right on cue, you guys are all so sweet, and thank you. I actually I'm realizing as I'm looking at myself how orange I am, but thank you. That's very sweet. But I also appreciate it's like when I, weighed 190 pounds when I was pregnant with Asher, 190 pounds. I'm 5'4.5". And I could see the way Josh would look at me when I would like come downstairs if we were going out or something. And I was just like, okay, this is the script, because I know what I look like, but it's going to make you feel better if you keep just saying, oh, honey, you look beautiful. It will help you feel that about me, so that it's not just what you're thinking in your head. Because it was a lot that I gained, and now I'm really going into all the things. It wasn't comfortable for me. I'm going to stop talking about looks. Okay.
All right.
I know I'm going to get everybody in trouble. Let's just start with the news of the yesterday, which was actually really sad, because I thought that Luigi was going to escape, that we'd never know his real name, and that he would just become like a phantom Robin Hood claims adjuster. That
would have been the fantasy.
Yeah.
The fantasy for me, actually, the full fantasy was he committed another 3 or 4
100,000.
Yeah.
Another 3 or 400,000, or whoever needs it. But yes, instead we, this was a crazy day, and we'll get into the second part of this, which is the Daniel Penny not guilty verdict. But the first thing that, all of the corporate media was just thrilled about was that this evil murderer, it's all they can think of when they think of Luigi, because they don't seem to understand or ever talk to the working class, was caught. So in spite of the fact that there are so many different pictures of this guy, and the internet sleuths who said the fuck we will, or whatever, we think the fuck not, on the TikTok group that normally helps solve crimes.
Right.
And said that they would not participate out of solidarity because the whole nation looks at him like a hero. So one of the things that they're pointing out is that the eyebrows are like the space between his eyebrows and the lack of hair on the upper picture in between the eyebrows don't seem to match the captured Luigi picture from the bottom. There's another picture of him, which also seems to have different eyebrows and eyes. So a lot of people are wondering if this is possibly a patsy.
Yeah, and it could be. It absolutely could be. I wouldn't go so far as to say it has to be, though. There's a lot we need to learn before we run with like this is a whole FBI setup thing, because
totally agree. However,
No,
okay, yeah.
go on. Let's hit it.
Well, I just think, Ken Klippenstein is the only outfit publisher or a reporter who published the manifesto. And what's really interesting is at the very beginning, it says to the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. Really? Like that just feels like, hello there, fellow kids.
I get it. And I'm not saying you're wrong at all. It certainly could be. It is fishy.
I mean,
on the other hand, he was sort of a tech bro. He's a guy.
Yeah.
FBI is sort of forensic, sciencey. It.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I mean, even just like, the TikTok internet sleuths who said out of solidarity, they are not helping solve this crime. They obviously, it's not like they're abolitionists. They do believe in finding some criminals. And I mean, listen, there are plenty of criminals that are worth being punished on some level, however you believe in the carceral state, right? Like all the CEOs, for instance, war criminals. But I just thought that's a funny way to start it. But maybe you're right. And also, he grew up very wealthy. He went to prestigious schools. He went to the Gilman School, high school, very well-known private prep school. He was a valedictorian there. Then he went Ivy League. He went to UPenn for both his BA and his master's in science and engineering. I think graduated summa cum laude. So yeah, very bright guy who seems like he mostly played by the rules, right?
Yes, but he also, and this could be part of the why he became the stooge, but he's been off the radar for months.
Like 6 months, yeah.
Right, 6 months he's been missing to all of his friends group.
Right.
So, and he also, if this is him, has extreme back pain from a botched surgery.
Yeah.
Which is part of it. So look, I mean, I understand he's in McDonald's with his backpack with the man, like he's like, here's the evidence. I brought exhibit A, B, and C, it's weird also that he got caught because he doesn't look like his picture enough to have given him away in most cases. But that's when you look at just the still shot of him in McDonald's. So imagine if he takes his mask off and he's smiling like that picture that was so plastered in people's minds with the smile.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I mean, also the eyebrow thing, look, lighting does a lot to eyebrows. So if there was lighting on a certain angle, I'm just saying,
I don't know.
We're going to find out more. And whatever happened with this guy, it's not normal to be off the radar for 6 months. So what's the story behind that?
That's true. And even one of his friends was like planning a wedding that I think Luigi was supposed to participate in. And so like the last message to him that was posted was, hey buddy, I'm counting on you. You made a commitment. Where are you? So yeah, I mean, there's many people who have had back pain, especially severe back pain. It's life-changing, and there's not a lot that can relieve the pain of it, right?
Right. So can I just back you up a little bit? And I'll flip it again.
Okay. Lila was
maybe he's been kidnapped for 6 months while they plotted this to frame him for this whole situation. And then they drop him off at McDonald's in
Altoona, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so we don't know, but a lot of it is fishy. I will say his lawyer seems not up to the job so far, just from optics perspective.
Yeah. Wish he had a little more of like Gavin Newsom energy and felt a little slicker. He feels a little bit like,
he does feel like a guy who's going to give out some information he shouldn't, to me.
Yeah. But again, like there was a lot that felt very clever initially that we talked about on Sunday, right? Like the silencer, the vet pistol used to put down farm animals was what people think was used. With a silencer, the monopoly money, the escaping notice. I mean, and by the way, like They said they didn't even have a name on him. And it really was, it had nothing to do with, like, I mean, the surveillance technology of those first pictures, which, as we're all seeing, don't even match. Like, the pictures that were put out were all different ones. But it just feels like he was very clever and escaped being caught. So I wonder if this was intentional. Also, have you seen this? Like, I know people of all different shapes and sizes eat at McDonald's, but he feels like he is so, like, anti-capitalist and pro, like, the health of his body. It's interesting to me that he was at a McDonald's.
Well, that part actually matches his bio, because he's got Facebook pictures of himself with McDonald's saying it's his one.
Oh, really? Wow,
So
you really did. You dug a little
I
deep
did. I
there.
dug into. I'm fascinated by all this, obviously, but I understand the inconsistent part is hard to jive. Like, why is he super careful? And then, monopoly money, all that stuff. And then here he is with all the evidence.
Yeah.
Well, you can paint a situation where he's on the run, but still, I would think you would leave this in a car of some sort, or like, why did you bring that in there? Maybe he thought he was just safe enough and he was going to write in his manifesto some more or something. And maybe he's got the gun still because he's got other murders in mind, or, I don't know, but, like, I don't think we can definitively say one way or the other. So I think people out there saying, here's a whole TikTok video saying it's all fake. Great. Let's get the investigative journalist finding a way that it's not him, because I would hope it's not him.
Right.
Let's do that.
And also, like, how,
well, I don't think you should be so definitive on it.
I'm not. I don't know. It just feels like there's enough reason for doubt, which his legal team should be showing as much as possible now. And also, a lot of people are talking about jury nullification, which I do think is the way to go on this if you happen to be chosen to be on the jury, because how are you going to find a jury unbiased? Every single person in this nation has had to deal with the health insurance industry, and they are universally despised. So unless you get 12 CEOs of health care, or actually they could be CEOs of anything, because any multi-hundred millionaire or billionaire is so disconnected from what normal people go through. But, like, a jury of his peers is likely not going to find him guilty. I would think.
I would hope that. I know from working in law and knowing a little bit about jury nullification, they basically present to the jury, and this is where it's our job to get what jury nullification is out in a big way before they pick this jury, because people will think they can execute their right of jury nullification, and then judges will basically fearmonger them in ways that make it sound like they can't go through with this jury nullification.
Right.
But you actually 100%, 100,000 million % can, just for no reason, even if you just disagree with the law, you could do that. Now, when you can't do it, you can't let the guy off and say, I disagree with the law, if they ask you a question and you lied about that to get onto the jury.
Right.
So you have to be honest.
You have to be consistent in your lie.
You have to
but they're not going to let you on if you say that you don't believe this is a crime in the first place, right?
Right. So if you're that person, make sure you haven't said that publicly or to people that will testify against you.
Yeah.
It's very important to be consistent, and they will put you in jail if you're the person who lied. But still, even if you lied and it causes a hung jury and they have to do it all over again, that's better than nothing.
Mostly. I mean, listen, I was excused from a jury just because I said everyone deserves to have a dignified life. And they were like, okay, juror number 12 is excused. Yeah.
Crazy leftist.
I know.
Get out of here.
Dignity in life. Okay. So he did, he had his manifesto. They've been looking through his Goodreads account where he rate books, and, he really appreciated Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber's manifesto or book, but also the Lorax. Like it really reminds me of this whole, and I don't know who he is, and I don't mean to, like, this is my own fantasy. I have no idea who he really was in life. But there was a lot of talk about how he's like one of these like tech bro, the manosphere, the, people who want to get in shape and like retweet Jordan Peterson and Peter Thiel kind of people. And it's that Bernie bro to Trump pipeline that we've been hearing so much about, that when, Bernie spoke to the Bernie bros, he spoke to Latinos, he spoke to, wide swaths of this country, working class, the, multicultural, everybody under 50, basically, and then some, loved him. And then after the Democrats crushed him and moved on with their, Biden project, there was no way to voice their anger. And into that vacuum, a lot of these people started moving to the right, which is really unfortunate. And we had a plan for that, but it was shut down.
But I don't think there's enough out there showing that he truly was on the right.
I agree.
I see that argument and I'm just like, show me what it is. And it's like commenting on right-wing posts, but he's not being very right-wing with his comments. So I don't know. But either way, he's not like, I can't find, if we disagree, if he and I disagree on some policies, sure. But he's not an alt-right guy. I mean, he wanted, if this manifesto is accurate, he didn't want to use a bomb because he didn't want to harm people. He was very careful. He's not a Ted Kaczynski. He didn't lose his mind and become somebody who, really didn't see the
burn it all down. Like he was very specific in who
this is calculated. That's why everybody loves him, because he's no risk to anybody unless you're one of these evil fucking insurance CEOs or somebody denying coverage or it's
no, I agree with you 100%. I do think it's interesting that whoever snitched on him from McDonald's, I mean, I saw a picture of a guy, but I don't know if that was really true, but won't get the reward because apparently instead of calling the snitch line or the hot, what's it called? The tip line, he called 911. And so because he didn't follow the correct order of events to then earn his prize money, he won't get that. And then this I also think is funny is that there's enormous solidarity with this Luigi Mangione. People are writing horrible reviews of all of the McDonald's in Pennsylvania, in Altoona, Pennsylvania, not knowing which one it was, saying that there are rats
everywhere.
Just to screw with them.
And I honestly don't know what there is to this story, but it was an interesting revelation that the McDonald's has facial recognition technology built into their system.
Wow. Gross.
But allegedly it was a customer talking to another customer who said, doesn't that look like the guy, kind of thing. So it didn't originate there allegedly, but on the other hand, it's possible that that's a story as well. And that McDonald's FBI said, hey, McDonald's, we know this guy, we see him from Facebook posts. He likes McDonald's. Can we use your facial recognition technology? And maybe that's how they caught him.
Yeah. And also because part of what they got on him that they're charging him with was having a fake ID, like presenting false identification, which is like, why would it be false? Like, why are you even asked for identification at a McDonald's? So like, then it's all, I don't know. There's still a lot of stuff that feels uncomfortable, but mostly it's the surveillance. Honestly, mostly surveillance. That's a real problem in this country and around the world. And we're going to get into some of that also later. But look, I understand that everybody has closed caption cameras to make sure, like, if there's a robbery or something happens, but that's different from actual technology that would have facial recognition stuff, right? Just like a regular camera for security is different from facial recognition technology, which, you know, even like looking at that Goodreads thing. And all of a sudden, I hadn't thought about Goodreads in a while. And I remember signing up for it, whatever, when it started 15 or 20 years ago, and then never really going into it. But like all of those sites, once again, are really instructive to all of us that if the product is free, you're the product. And so when they use all of the data that they are able to get from all of us who sign up for anything, you know, oh, what street did you live on when you were growing up? What are your favorite 4 flavors? What's your favorite book? What do you like? All of those things.
Yeah, those are your passwords
data
someone's
mining.
going to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
but Goodreads, I had no idea what Goodreads was.
Yeah.
And then I published my book, and I was like, my first book, Peter Douche, whatever, An Inconvenient Douche.
Right.
And I wanted to not do it on Amazon anymore. I was like, how do I get away from Amazon?
Right.
Right. Which is, it's hard. If you're an author, it's fucking impossible. So just accept that people are going to, I mean, Chomsky had his books up there, but I got shit for having my book up there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to get off of it. And so I was like, oh, good. Somebody turned me on to Goodreads. Goodreads is owned by Amazon now. So that was no solution whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, they're all connected now. IMDb, like basically it's just one big, I used to think it was just one big shopping mall, like, I mean, life and the internet, but it's actually even more insidious than just the flat out consumerism. Like, you know, it really is data mining and getting more information out of all of us than we're aware we are contributing often. Okay. So, you know, end result in all of this is this, you know, little sign slapped up there that maybe isn't even really existing in real life, but it's somebody put it up there. One person with a pistol just shook the ruling class, more than decades of peaceful organizing, which, you know, we keep coming back to this, and it's really unfortunate, but it is the truth. I mean, when you have Elizabeth Warren, who I never want to give any credit to for anything, but saying out loud, you know, violence is never acceptable, but when you give people no way to have their voices, their concerns heard or responded to, like the heard thing, all right, they hear us, like they see us protesting, they know, like every time those polls come out, everybody wants most of the country, universal health care and all the other things that we talk about all the time. And our Congress has no interest in doing any of that because they are all captured by the donors and the CEOs who pay them to not listen to their constituents. So what do you do at that point?
If you want a nonviolent public, they need to be heard. They need to feel like they have some power. I mean, the power in the past was voting, right? Which it's always been sort of horseshit, but at least you had somebody you thought was on your side. That's so far gone that we know voting doesn't matter. Yep. Now, what have we seen for the last 10 years? The BLM movement protests, the Wall Street protests, you know, all the people in the streets for Palestine now. And we know it's not doing shit. We know we just watched the Democratic Party say, we'll lose to Trump, the fascist who's going to destroy democracy before we'll change our position and listen to you fucking peon.
And we're going to criminalize what you're doing.
And we're teaming up with them to make it illegal it's anti-Semitic to wear a keffiyeh, you know, like it's so when people are this helpless, this is the outcome. This is the only way it's gotten any attention. A protest in New York wouldn't have gotten the attention as this one assassination.
I mean, they've known for 8 years now since, you know, I mean, I know it was a Green Party thing, but like Bernie really is the one who made it, you know, Medicare for all, made it very common. I mean, even, you know, not even, but Luigi talks about the Michael Moore movie, Sicko, right? Like he makes a reference to that. I mean,
them taking people to Canada for healthcare.
Like I mean, we were all just
the 9/11 victims going to Canada, leaving the country to go to another country.
Canada, Cuba, like to get healthcare. Yeah. So they've known, we've all made our opinions very clear, and they just don't care. So the only way to change this is to gum up the works and do a general strike, which is possible but hasn't happened, or to terrorize them the way they terrorize us. I mean,
it
Yeah.
does really feel like the same thing. It's like the new move is, anyone like us, do you condemn the assassination? Just like, do you condemn Hamas?
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's
Yep.
like, I'm not going to look.
Nope.
This all signs point to this fucking working.
Yeah.
You sons of bitches. Where's our avenue to recognize our situation and change it? It doesn't exist. Now this happened, and I do want to show this clip because I really, really freaking liked this right.
Do you see this? Do you see this? Deny, defend, oppose at the bottom of it?
Yep. Pictures of CEOs, healthcare insurance CEOs wanted. Yeah, they should be scared because we all live in fear. People live in fear of having to go to the doctor, of having to take an ambulance, right? And I mean, God, we have so many, like, we're pinballing all over the place, places to go. Just talking about healthcare, it was very clear that the order went out to all of the sort of like corporate journalist lackeys, right? What was it, Matt Iglesias? Giving these,
He was one for sure.
yeah, incredibly disingenuous, dishonest charts to say, two charts that you need to look at simultaneously to understand. Americans spend more than foreigners on out-of-pocket healthcare, but they have a relatively low out-of-pocket share of healthcare spending. This is like saying inflation is going down when it's not going down, but the rate of how fast it's going up might be slightly stagnating. Then Noah Smith, another one. Fun fact: Americans pay less of their health costs out of pocket than people in almost any other developed country. So this is all such a dishonest framing.
The framing is such trash, but even it misses the fact that you're denying claims. When you deny the claims, people can't afford to pay them. So there are no out-of-pocket costs being paid. It's just fucking denied.
Yeah.
These people can't afford it. Our homeless problem is largely medical debt.
Yeah. I mean, 80% of bankruptcies are because of medical debt. And so when you're in that kind of debt, then what happens? I mean, people are, the threads or the replies under anything about this event, this murder, are people just listing their family members, their loved ones who were murdered by these CEOs, whose claims were denied, who had to watch their children suffer through repeated seizures as they were waiting, hoping that they had reached the limit or the magic number that would make the claims adjuster say, okay, now we'll permit this medicine, so it is it's daily violence against us. And, homelessness, being forced to become homeless, being forced to claim bankruptcy, that's violence. I mean, that's violence. So these people are evil and they're liars because from the exact same website where these two paid liars from which they took their charts, had this chart, which is the reason that they can say, oh, we spend less of a share of the total cost than any other country, is because we spend more total of our GDP on healthcare than any other country. So even though per capita, we still spend more than any other country on healthcare out of pocket and, and as a nation, but because it is such a huge number of total costs, our out of pocket spending is a very small percentage compared to the total spending.
And the propaganda that has hit the American psyche is that, well, our healthcare is exceptional. We're exceptional Americans. So like when the cost is so high, it's because unlike other countries, I mean, people really think this shit. Not as many anymore, but this is what they were taught over decades. This is why people didn't want to give up their private health insurance, because they really thought they had something good. But if you compare that number to us being 40th in healthcare outcomes,
yeah,
that's pretty
42nd.
fucking
42nd.
Egregious, you know.
Yeah.
And we're the lifespan, the average lifespan is dropping in this country unrelated to other countries. So that, you know, when you talk about we've bounced back from COVID better than other countries, no,
our economy
has,
which is
our
the
actual,
CEOs.
we're the ones dying, and it's a severe drop compared to other countries, because even though the whole world is not taking this seriously, we're really fucking dropping the ball here.
Yeah. Yeah. Our life expectancy in the richest country in the history of the world has a life expectancy that is the lowest of all developed nations. So not only is our out-of-pocket per capita spending more than any other country, but people, I mean, this is part and parcel with what you were saying, but people skip for major, you know, they skip care because of costs on consultations, medical tests, treatments, follow-ups. Prescribed medicines are skipped because they're not reimbursed for them. And, you know, all of those factors contribute to our poor result of our great healthcare system, and also our lowered life expectancy. So one way or the other, this is all just supporting Frederick Engels' social murder idea, which is the people who are making money off of the violence that they perpetrate against us, and they're not considered criminals. You know, if every time a CEO came on, if somebody said to them, do you condemn the way you've chosen to make a living? How many people do you hurt every day in order to give your stockholders more money?
Yeah. What are you doing to make sure more people live? Sorry, my sink is making a lot of weird noises.
Oh, that's your sink? I thought
that's my sink.
That's so funny.
Apartment living. Landlords should all die, by the way. I'm just kidding. But on this, I just want to, you know, my friend Lola, who passed, that some people followed her a little bit through me. Look, she had to work even while she could barely walk when she was still working at home. But she had to, for her insurance purposes. Right. She, at one point, for financial reasons, and she had money, but it's a long story. I think because she wanted to leave her last little chunk to me, she didn't refill her subscriptions as much as she could have. Wow. For she had insulin anyway. But then, you know, just to tie this all into American bullshit, she needed Ozempic to maintain her insulin regulation or something. Ozempic was prescribed to her and a lot of cancer people for other reasons. And she couldn't get it because people were prescribing it for weight loss. Yeah. You know, off ticket. And like, that's just our country right there. It's just, it's all fucked, you know? So like healthcare radicalizes people, because it radicalized me, and it did. I've known for, you know, 20, 30 years that like, if there's one thing we could change to equalize things, it's getting everyone healthcare, which is why they've fought it so fucking hard.
It really is true. And it affects everybody, obviously. And, you know, one thing that's it's hard to know. I mean, I appreciate if his philosophy is, even if the health insurance industry didn't affect him. I mean, he's wealthy, comes from a wealthy family, and it looks like his family owned a bunch of private assisted care living facilities, which were like fined and given poor ratings. They treated people horribly. They, took money and then did not pass on that through the service to their patients. But honestly, on some level, it feels like, and I don't want to detract from from the overall idea of what he did, but that, I mean, his back pain, which is horrific, and which, sounds like the actual caregivers were not able to deal with satisfactorily. But that's actually not the same thing as what we all are complaining about. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that he was denied. We've not seen any evidence that he was denied a procedure or a prescription or care because of the healthcare insurance industry. Do you know what I mean? So the back problem, which seems like it might have been the inciting incident for him that radicalized him, the deep pain, the like withdrawing from society, then, this assassination.
Again, all these arguments we're making now are assuming it was him and that this is the guy. So, this is where it's like, what are we?
Yeah.
What is real and what isn't? Like, this discussion could mean nothing when we find out he wasn't the guy. Like, I'm just putting it out there to everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
And also, listen, there were, just to go back a little bit, like there was plenty of stuff in his profile that was released where he's talking about like the explosion of society or of population. And even though we should look forward to the future, revolution is almost certain to have to happen. Like, so he was, and that's why, like, I actually really don't understand people trying to pigeonhole him as some like far right nut, because there's a lot of stuff. And then, they're going to be all the centrist people who are like, oh, it's the horseshoe theory where, the right and the left, the red brown alliance, the Bernie to, Trump pipeline thing is real and blah, blah, whatever. But like, it seems like he was already primed to understand that this capitalist system we have is violence. Even if
I think so.
his
And
back pain
if it's him and his family was involved in the home care stuff, he might have seen the dark side of that stuff on some level.
Well, that's,
and then, even if it's your family, you realize, and then you see your own experience with the healthcare company. And, there was the probably fake manifesto that was not manifesto, but post that was put out. Do you know the one that I'm talking about, where there was this whole story put out that was him, and he said that his parents were his mom was denied coverage, and
oh no, I didn't.
Did you read all that? But that was likely fake because it was released after the crime was already committed, and
right.
A lot of people are saying there's no way it could be him, and who knows? But
also, what this does is bring us back to the contradiction between the way people view one guy who targets one evil guy versus all the people who are allowed to murder and aren't asked to condemn anything. And we just decide, not we, but like the media and the people in power have decided that, the Elon Musks and the Chevron CEOs and the Palantir guy and the Lockheed Martin, like these are mass killers every single year. And they go out to dinner and you're, told that you're a terrorist if you even, scream at them in a restaurant because it's not civil or polite. Mass killers for money.
Yeah. And, we watch CNN, MSNBC, whatever. They're not having anyone on to make the argument whatsoever for why this happens. They may gloss over it real quickly, like, oh, people they're unhappy with the healthcare system, whatever. But like,
they don't get anybody would support violence.
Chart ever put up a chart about how much coverage was denied by this organization, where they ranked in the denial care. They don't, I've never heard anything on any of these channels about the AI system that this guy was responsible for.
90% error rate. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a 90% error rate is intentional. It's so fucking obvious. And like, for them to not say that on TV, it's just another layer of people who actually know that going, I can't watch them now because they're not the news. They are bullshit. And this is another point to wake people the fuck up, that they're intentionally crafting all these stories.
Yes, it is 100% a narrative. So this is, I mean, this is Laura Ingraham, whatever.
I think it's just Ingram.
Ingram. Well, why does she have the extra HA in there? All right, well, we'll see. Anyway, just to give a little taste of how crime and heroism is viewed by the corporate class.
We'll dig into it later. The Instagram posts from nutbag people, which I was sent in the commercial break earlier, crazy. Like, he's cute, and people celebrating this. This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero, and tonight he's not guilty. My take next.
Excellent. Just before we start commenting, let's just show that it was not just Fox. And even though this guy's a Republican, this is CNN. They've hired this guy. He's on every fucking day. Do you condemn your party? Do you condemn here he is.
Let me just help you understand. If you're on the American left tonight, here's my chart. The good guys today, Daniel Penny. The bad guys, Luigi Mangione. It seems to me.
How do you?
Everybody
what's
on the
the
left,
chart for victims?
I'm just telling you what I see out in the world.
I know. I
What
just
I
want you
see
to
out in the
finish
world
the
today.
chart. Which victim is good and which victim is bad?
What I'm telling you is
that's not on the second page.
People on the left can't seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
People on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising Luigi.
I want to know whether you think that, as Congressman Crane does, that Dan.
I don't know who she is. She was filling in for Abby Phillips, who,
she already won't be back because she seemed a little bit of an.
Yeah, she's like,
I kind of agreed in a minute for a little.
I don't know if the victim. I don't know if her victim was the homeless person, Jordan Keely, or the CEO or the healthcare victims. I don't know. Yeah.
To be on CNN, it had to be strictly the Jordan Keely.
I think so too. Yeah.
It couldn't have been the public people.
Like
harmed by the
millions of people, hundreds of millions of people. Yeah.
But still, she won't be back.
So that's the framing. That's the framing. And the US public is made to fear a homeless person on a subway, first of all, we've all been in situations where there are people who have been reduced and acted against and so decimated by our system that they can be violent. Of course they can. Like, that can happen. And if you're a person who is sitting on the subway or walking down the street or whatever, that can be scary. But in the situation on the subway, when he was put in that chokehold, he was already subdued. That was it. It's over. You don't need to continue that. Then the cops come, or the EMT services, and don't give him life-saving. He wasn't dead yet, barely. No thanks to Daniel Penny. And then the EMT people come and don't give him any life-saving assistance because they said they were worried that maybe he had AIDS or some other disease, which also, that should be the assumption, just like my assumption is everybody has COVID. There are ways that they're supposed to have protective gear to still be able to administer life-saving treatment, even if somebody might have a disease. That happens all the time, right? And this guy was already on a list Jordan Keely, people knew in New York, the different organizations, that he was violent and had a history of violence, but also that he needed help. And I mean, it is it's just a huge indictment on the system, but also to fear this one homeless guy so much for all of our safety that these people will justify his cold-blooded murder and congratulate the killer being let go, but decide that the targeted assassination of a man who makes millions of dollars a year and hundreds of millions for his stockholders by killing millions of people every year, that is bad. I mean, there is no justice in this country or in this world.
There isn't. And obviously, look, this guy on the subway, if you're responsible enough, I mean, if you are skilled enough to understand chokeholds and cutting off oxygen from somebody, you understand that you have, like, I don't know, 7 to 10 seconds is like a safe range, and then you need to release the oxygen. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but I know it's a short amount of time.
You know how to do that hold.
Once the hold happens and you cut the oxygen, you need to release immediately, which is why they will always, if it's a wrestling match, whatever, people will tap immediately.
Yeah.
Referees come in because your permanent brain damage, dead, it can happen really quick if you keep that oxygen channel shut down. And so he should have known that. And that is the whole point of this. No matter what his intentions were to start with, you killed a person irresponsibly, like at best, irresponsibly, at best, manslaughter. I don't know, the numbers are manslaughter 2 or something,
right.
So that, but really what it comes down to is, like, I think it's interesting. All this is happening and causing a little rift with this whole left-right thing, because truly a lot of people on the right do agree that this subway killer should have gotten off, right?
Yep.
But they are still happy that the CEO was taken out.
Yep.
They still understand. And what you're seeing online and on the media is the propagandists trying to push this shit to people.
Yep.
And even the right people on the right are like, nah, I disagree with you, Jordan Peterson. I disagree with you, Ben Shapiro. I disagree with you, Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Like, you lost me on that one, buddy.
Yep.
And they're still trying, and they're trying to make this a right left issue. And overwhelmingly, I think people are saying, no, it isn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too. And it is really interesting once again, because, most of the country wants healthcare. Most of the country wants us to stop funding a genocide. Most of the country was behind the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. And with enough propaganda and narrative crafting from corporate media, people change their minds, unfortunately. So I am really hoping that this time it doesn't.
Yeah.
And maybe it is, because a lot of white people who got behind Black Lives Matter and even defund the police, every single policy when explained that's part of defund the police is popular when explained, right? Even if that phrase isn't, but possibly the allies were more easily pushed aside or, swayed in their opinion, whereas healthcare and the lack of healthcare is something that affects everybody. So maybe this is the thing.
Yeah. Black Lives Matter is an issue that if you're white or somebody else, you have to have empathy and understand, have to have a bigger, it's not about me, it's about society, what we want for society. Where if you're selfish, which we've seen our country is with fucking COVID and so many other things.
Yeah.
What affects you? Well, healthcare affects you, and healthcare affects all these racists on the right, even.
Yeah.
And not just the racists, but I'm just saying.
But like even people who normally want to uphold the system or think like that the homeless guy was right to be killed, or
who are looking for scapegoats. And you can't scapegoat our healthcare system on immigrants, or they'll try,
Right.
but it doesn't work. You know, everybody has their own personal experiences, or at least there are 3 degrees of separation from somebody who has a terrible healthcare story.
Yep.
And they understand it's fucked. So like the propaganda isn't working on this issue with these people. This is a time to convert people and educate them.
Yeah, I think so, which is also why they want to shut down so much of social media. Okay.
So we should shift gears.
Yeah. So let's spin. Yeah. Okay. Look at us. Mind meld.
Perfectly in sync.
Perfectly in sync. Here we go. I just filled up my glass.
Yeah, baby.
We don't land on All right. So if you were hoping, okay. Sorry. Wait. Let me just. Sorry. I have so many screens open in order to do this. I want everyone's sympathy for this. Okay. Let's do. Well, Nikki Giovanni, poet, activist, overall just beautiful human being, passed away yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I'm so embarrassed now that I don't know, but she and James Baldwin had a conversation about 50 years ago that still rings true today.
They said once somewhere, that a cop is a cop.
Well, cops are white.
And and he may be a very nice man, but I haven't got the time to figure that out. All I know is he's got a uniform and a gun. And I have to relate to him that way. That's the only way to relate to him at all. Because one of us is going, one of us may have to die.
One of us, in New York, there's a big campaign going on to humanize the policemen, and they have billboards upstate, and they have a picture of a big cop bending over this little blonde girl. And the sign say, and some people call him Pig. And I wanted to buy a billboard. I told a friend of mine, I want to buy a billboard and show this big cop and this 14-year-old kid with 30 bullets in him and saying some people call him Peacemaker.
You ought to do.
I mean, I think that was in 1971. There's another beautiful moment in there, but it didn't fit like the overall theme of our show today. But in that same conversation where she says she wants she would like the black man who comes home to her to lie to her the way he lies to his white boss, because to his white boss, he smiles and says everything's okay. And he lets it all out on her, which sort of made me think about my own, when my kids were little and people would be like, oh, they're so sweet. They're so good at school. They're so well behaved. And I would think, God, but they're such assholes at home. But you're like, well, I'm glad they know how to behave in public. But then there is a part that's like, I'd also like you to be a little polite with me. But she phrases it obviously in her gorgeous words as a poet and a master of language can. But it's a really great conversation if anybody has the opportunity to check out the whole thing of two great minds coming together and kind of giving each other pause in a way, like confronting each other on some of their notions and then listening and responding. I don't know. It's just sort of like a really beautiful insight into two minds that were so powerful. And sorry.
And not that I would put Bree in the same level as these people, but it's what I appreciate Bree for. Brianna Joy Gray, for having these discussions with people. Like there's some of that with her that I really
feel uncomfortable.
Don't see in anyone else in the media much.
Because, I know the name of her show is Bad Faith, but I always feel like she really comes at it all in good faith when she has people on. I mean, obviously she pre-selects the people she's going to have on who are overall, in her general or on her general level of the spectrum. But when they push back at each other, like, I think that's one of the biggest propagandistic tools in our country is we don't discuss politics. I'm just not into politics, which is a way of telling everybody, just put your head down in the sand and walk forward, because everything is politics. And as Nina Turner said, you can say you don't do politics, but politics does you, baby. Like everything that's happening is politics. Lack of healthcare, lack of living wage, lack of housing, a horrific climate environment because they've devastated, like it's all politics. So you can say, I'm just going to ignore it, but that's your privilege saying that. And to say that we can't have those hard conversations with people we love, like, and have those fights, get used to fighting with people. It's okay. Like, have a hard conversation. That's okay. It's really important, actually, if we're ever going to solve anything. And to tell people, like, we don't discuss, don't discuss religion because that's not logical. That's your faith. That's your beliefs. You do your own thing. But politics affects all of us. And we should all be willing and able and encouraged to have those conversations.
Amen. I give you a religious amen. And I hate religions. So, but same. I hate them all equally.
Yeah, same.
I respect your right to believe some dumb religion, whatever it may be.
See, you are a Bill Maher, but you love Bill Maher. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. Lynn, I didn't even know you lived in LA. Wilshire and Santa Monica. Picked my kid up from class. A man was face down in the street. Oh my God. That's crazy. And people just walked right by. Yeah. Everything really does intersect, right? Like this idea that we don't have, and we're going to talk about climate and like what's crime and but like the idea that we have cities where everyone just gets in a car and drives off and that we don't know each other, that, like when we lived in Rome, you'd go to the, Alimentari to get your sandwich and you have a long conversation. Then you go to the grocery store and like the little market, another long, then you go to the huge farmer's market, another, and everybody sort of gets to know each other and everything takes a lot longer. But back then it was okay. I mean, I don't know what it's like right now if I were a working person in Rome, but like you had more time. People had more time to engage with each other, to walk to where you were going to go, to know that you were going to go to the market. Our refrigerator was really small. I don't even think we had a freezer. Every day you had to go and buy your groceries for the day or for the next day, right? So like that kind of slowing down of the pace and being forced to interact with each other, there's no way to escape knowing each other and feeling like you are part of a community.
I mean, well, honestly, Italy is like one of my favorite countries on earth. And I got to spend a decent amount of time there, not like you did, but look, the system is built there to use public transit. People don't drive much. It's very rare. Yeah, gas is like crazy expensive, but it's because they don't drive. The transit, you don't have to. And with the markets, every couple blocks has a little corner market with fresh everything. Like my corner market here, they've got great beer. But if I had to eat there, I would be dead in 10 years from diabetes. I mean, it's not the same. And but their culture is set up for that, and it's very different, but we're very isolated in this country. That's why,
intentionally, like that's part of it. Like like this comment, capitalism, and they thrive on it. That individualism that they, that John Wayne and the pull yourself up from your bootstraps and you're, an individual. And
okay. And I want to say one thing. This is unrelated to this. I mean, it's related, but it's chapping my hide lately. Like, okay, this is a video game thing. I only play one video game, period. Call of Duty. Okay. That's all I do because I like pew-pewing. I need some competition in my life. Yeah, right? Yeah. And I can't get out to bars and play pool like I used to. Pool was my thing. Yeah. But anyway, it turns out, and they've sort of cornered the market on that genre to where they're like $1 trillion company, insanely rich. Right. And everybody hates the fucking game. But they got a monopoly on it, and the game manipulates your experience to where it makes you play worse, sort of, and it's got you on this wave of like endorphins. Like you hate it so much, you got to play a little more, and they know where you're at, and so all this is sort of coming out, but it's slowly leaking. But it's it's what these apps are doing. They're
Yeah.
feeding your engagement. It's just,
Yeah.
and I've noticed like when I play it, I'm not happy. I'm playing it and they've got me manipulated. And that's, Kiko's right. No, whatever. We play once in a while together. So, but I just think it's symptomatic of what things are. It's like, we're not benefiting from this system.
Yeah.
Like I hate this. Like Call of Duty 10 years ago, I loved, and so I just sharing that little gamer thing for.
Well, it is okay. I mean, in spite of some of the comments made on Sunday's show, I do watch Breaking Point, and I appreciate a lot of what Crystal has to say on the working class and economic populism. And even it's interesting when she finds, common cause with Sagar. He had a whole thing, it's so funny. Like he has libertarian sensibilities unless it comes to food and any vices. Like that's when he sort of shuts down. But he did a whole speech on online gambling, sports gambling, and how in the states where it's legal, domestic violence goes up. But then also he was talking about the algorithm, and the more you win, you start being prohibited from placing bets if you win. And also, if you lose, you are then hit up by the games you play, giving you offers to come back more. So it is all like, of course, that's what it is. I mean, the house always wins. It's why they give the, big bettors huge suites in Vegas, because they know like everything's legal in Vegas except counting, which is the craziest thing to me. I'll never understand that at all. But yeah, I mean, this is it. Like the house wins. It always wins.
The house wins, and to bring it back, because I used to be a dealer, so I understand about all that stuff. But the with Call of Duty, the other piece where everything intersects everything. Like that's my whole point with bringing this up.
That's what I was doing too.
Part of their experience.
I was yes-anding you.
Oh, and I'm yes-ending myself.
Okay.
Via you,
but not me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
But look, they're incorporating a shit ton of AI. Like they sell all these little bonus packets, so people want their little cute looking guns that have the right ammo and little figures that do different things, and they're all made by AI. They just laid off like 1,000 people, and they one of their big things just came out with the Christmas special, and it's all there's one big picture that's in front of it with the person with their two hands up like this, and he has 6 fucking fingers. So like their leader thing to sell their newest thing.
Don't look too closely.
They didn't even check the finger count because that's AI. AI, can always
they know your eyes are so
things.
warped from playing nonstop that you won't even see it.
Yeah, but the experience is terrible. But it's terrible and it's manipulated because they're controlling people. It's like they it's not just like a natural fun. Like life is not like that anymore. We're just getting controlled. Like cable is, like we get it's all about watching movies and TV and like
alienation. I mean, it truly is. Doing your own thing and being alienated is a big part of it. And then yes, we are all being manipulated by these games, by food, that sugar, like we have corn products and everything. It makes it more addictive. Like it is all, again, to ignore that this is happening and that it is class solidarity amongst the people who are making billions off of destroying our lives and our world is to just decide that your ignorance is your bliss, but it comes out of a deep privilege to not engage in what they are doing to all of us, to our children, to the world, to the future. So, yeah.
Yeah, and all that AI stuff, like that's separate, but back to the healthcare, like you were saying, like this is the really egregious thing. And the whole public is with this guy. Back to our story here.
Yep.
And they're trying to shape things in another way. And they're trying to say we have avenues that we should be voting and if we elect more Democrats
Oh
and
my
whatnot.
God. Is this your segue
maybe,
into the pod save, guys?
I was
if it is, I'm just refilling my glass. You can go ahead and share it. I will be stopping it quite a bit. I despise these motherfuckers.
Lila knows me so well. She knew that terrible setup was for pod save.
It's perfect. And they are awful because unlike the clearly villainous, CEOs, they kind of pretend to be on the side of liberals and the people. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's so much revisionist history in the next few clips we'll show. But this is it. Thankfully, this is short, so don't worry. It's not all night with this one.
What happens when you end up only debating, when the debate becomes about are you for single payer or against single payer, is you don't have other debates. A debate like, should we lower the Medicare eligibility age to 60? How about that?
Or I was going to say, to your point about people liking Medicare so much, I think that the plan offered in 2020 that was both the best plan but also the most politically palatable plan and that most people liked it was, remember Pete Buttigieg proposed Medicare for all who want it?
Yes.
And
that's a joke line, number one. Number two, why are only people 60 and above people who need health care? Already, they're too stupid to have a platform, and yet they are compensated so wildly for their evil takes. Sorry.
So basically it would allow anyone, if you really want Medicare and you want to be covered by Medicare, you can choose that. And if you really don't want that and you really want your private health insurance plan, you can choose that. And the idea would be that Medicare would be so popular that more and more people would buy in, and we would eventually transition to a system where Medicare covers everyone.
There's a lot of, yes, that was a sort of a form of a public option. But you lower the Medicare, the public option was killed from Obamacare, and it was killed by a bunch of senators. They all hid behind Joe Lieberman. It was killed by a bunch of people. But one thing that Joe Lieberman personally killed was the Medicare buy-in for people. And that was just a policy to help. If you were between the ages of 60 and 65, that is where your health, you're not yet in Medicare, but you still are in the age where you're starting to have more and more health problems. It's an extremely expensive group to insure. If you get laid off when you're 58, it's incredibly expensive. There's a huge bunch of problems that happen there. And Joe Lieberman personally killed a Medicare buy-in. But if we could get the Medicare age down to 60, it costs about $25 billion a year, a tiny, tiny fraction of the budget. And that alone would bring healthcare costs down for fucking everybody just by dint of getting this pool of expensive people to insure off. But these are the kinds of things I think we should be talking about, simple fixes that get us on the road to Medicare for all. Because Ro Khanna said, you're not surprised by the reaction. There's an incredible amount of anger and antipathy towards health insurance companies. We should target it. We should direct it towards a political aim that could actually help people as soon as possible.
Okay. I don't disagree with lowering the age. Do something now. Do something now is what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
But what are they doing? They aren't doing anything. These guys just propped up the guy who did fucking nothing. They said you got to vote for the guy who did fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Kamala didn't have it on her platform to lower the age a year.
Yeah. And to name Mayor Pete as the guy who had the best and most palatable. What? I mean, we don't have it ready to go, but the most palatable person was Bernie. That's why they are having, even just yesterday, a New York Times article.
They fought
Bernie
so fucking hard. They fought this guy. They fought Bernie so fucking hard. Their whole podcast exists to stop Bernie.
The only reason that Pete won Iowa was because of the app that cheated, that was made by the people who his campaign donated to. And they're saying he was the most, and he lied that he won Iowa. They're just so despicable that at this moment in time, when they didn't push back a second on all of the Kamala people they had on who were we ran a flawless, great campaign, and the numbers said, and we did it. And they were just And now they're saying it's Mayor Pete. Yeah, sure. Great. Lower it to 60, lower it to 55, lower it to 0, because everybody needs healthcare. And then also, I just need to say this really quickly, because even though I didn't want to get on board with saying Crystal's a fascist, I don't believe that that's true. But just yesterday, she and the Sagar are talking about how closing down schools at the beginning of COVID was obviously the bad move to make, even though, then we didn't know, because kids weren't getting it. Kids aren't affected by it. Kids aren't dying by it. Everything right now is showing that kids are spiking in strokes, in heart attacks, healthy kids, in cancer diagnoses, in diabetes, in just long COVID, where they are not able to function because they have some version of POTS or MEC. Like,
I think
it's so disgusting. They're still going to spread these lies.
I think part of the problem, and I don't know, I don't want to single her out on this issue, but a lot of podcasters and people in her realm take their cues more than they should from what people are already talking about. So I feel like she's literally in a vacuum where her circle of people, and her fans, they don't want to hear about COVID. So they're just bought into this bullshit. Like, the science is so fucking clear on this. Like, I used to respect people like Crystal because they seemed more questioning and investigative, but it was really just that they're on my side.
Right.
They're not necessarily as inquisitive as we would want these people to be. And, it's like we all tapped into Dorr because Dorr had the righteous anger that we agreed with. But it turns out he's just a fucking grifter. He's not inquisitive. He's following where the money is. He's chasing where the people who follow him the most
is, but like, it doesn't matter what the truth is. Yeah.
And I just feel like we're seeing that from Anna Kasparian. We're seeing that from Crystal on some level. I don't want to attack her on this. I don't know enough about it to really pin this on her.
I just don't understand the COVID thing and saying that kids are fine. Like, they're not. We're seeing study after study, and then saying that, it hurt their learning and it hurt their mental well-being, and the suicides went up, when we know. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. But like, fuck, I hate all these people, and they have platforms and they make millions of dollars a year to lie.
And to do it on the issue that is the one most central issue to leftists who want to change society, it's healthcare. And you miss this opportunity. And not only did you miss it, now you're miseducating an entire audience. Like, it's irresponsible. It's the thing that I love Bree the most for. She failed on this issue the most, even though she's better than most people still.
Yeah. But she had Julia on. She wanted to open her mind to it when people kept pushing back.
And I appreciate her.
I thought that's where you were going.
And I do love her for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's sincere. I don't think she was a disingenuous person who spread misinformation about COVID or, was casual about it because of the wrong reasons. But like, you've got a responsibility when this is a fucking pandemic and connect this to healthcare. You're out there right now today, getting attacked over the murderer. Yeah. And you should be using that moment right now to say, look how they failed us on COVID. Look, COVID right now, you guys should be doing this stuff. We don't have the left doing that. It's like 10 people on the left, like it's,
and we're,
I mean, even count, I'm not counting us, but like, like.
Yep. All right. Go ahead. Put him back on. I can't stand him.
Well, they're almost
blood pressure. Yeah.
Good news is like 20 seconds left.
Guess what? If there were Democratic majorities in Congress and Democratic president, we'd get a public option. We didn't last.
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not either. I don't understand. Hang on.
Weird. I'm going to remove it and put it back on because maybe it's because I
target it. We should direct it towards a political aim that could actually help people as soon as possible.
Well, guess what? If there were Democratic majorities in Congress and Democratic president, we'd get a public option. We didn't last time around, even though Joe Biden proposed it, because we had Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. If we had won the Senate this time around and won the House and won the presidency, then we'd be talking about a public option for a second term.
And these should be part of the, like, when we talk about like what are Democrats for, we spent a long, what is our big agenda for the future? Like, these kinds of big changes have to be part of
that. Okay, so out of this whole clip, other things bothered me. But obviously, John, tall, skinny, dipshit John Favreau, putting this on basically, you voters fucked up. It would have been a part of.
We had a Democratic majority.
Yeah. To say it would have been a part of a second term, like, fuck you. It would have been part of a second term.
Because we're getting rid of Kirsten Sinema and Manchin, and we are getting Fetterman and whoever the fuck else. It's always going to be like that.
Right.
Always.
But why weren't you pushing it forward in the first term?
It wasn't the time. It was just, he was just in there.
And
he ran. Biden ran on a public option.
I mean, why didn't you say, why didn't you bring any of this up ever?
Now is not the time. We just need 2 more Democrats.
They're such hot garbage. All right, disgusting. Before we move on from them entirely, I just want to say, if you hate the other John, what's his last name? I don't fucking know.
Favreau and Lovett.
Lovett. If you hate John Lovett, watch season 1, the last season's Survivor episode 1, because he makes it one day. He's the first guy kicked off the fucking island.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can't get mad at him about, because I would never even be chosen to be on that show because I'm such a snowflake. But
so is he.
Yeah. Well, The Lever, David Sirota, they're doing such great reporting on all of these conflicts of interest and corruption. United Health Care, which is Brian Thompson's former place of employment, helped kill single-payer health care legislation in Democratic supermajority, not even just, with the one extra, the way the Pod Save boys are saying. Gavin Newsom backed off his previous support of the idea after he and Dems received huge money from United Health donors. So let's stop pretending that if we just had 2 more Democrats or 5 more Democrats or 100 Democrats in our Senate and 438 or whatever the fuck in our Congress, it would pass. It will never pass as long as we have money in politics. That is the beginning and end of that whole story.
It was literally written in the platform for the California Democrats. And then they got a supermajority and they're like, whoa, hey, we got this money from United Healthcare. And turns out we're gonna put it in the back room and figure out how the best way is to pay for this thing. And then that's the last we heard of it. That's it. Gone.
Yep.
Not on the platform. Elect more Democrats, though. These guys are saying elect more Democrats.
Yep.
Can't do it in the most democratic state in the nation.
I'm clearly so filled with rage, I can barely come up with a sentence. So I am listening to you and reading all these comments that are soothing, solves to like bombs.
Are they?
Yeah. I appreciate it because it's enraging and it feels like we're, through the looking glass with these people. Let's spin the wheel and then we're just going to do a quick rundown of all the other crimes that are only considered crimes when they're done by the working class or the poor or people who are on our official enemy list, but are, considered acts of valor. And when they're done by the capitalist class. So, okay, here we go. When we get back, I do want to show some other people in the media being full of shit now, because I just feel like they need to get hammered on. That can be part of the whole hypocrisy. We'll call it #hypocrisy.
There you go.
Yeah, baby.
Would you look at that just in time? All right, wait. I will do it on my own time. Don't worry. I'm going to spin it.
Yeah, baby.
We got another timeline cleanse. All right.
What do we got?
What do we got?
The Market or Philip Labes?
I don't know. I'm toggling back from all of my different windows. Okay.
I'm beering up.
Whatever you want to do.
Pushing
the
button.
Don't politicize the shooting of a healthcare CEO. Violence ain't the answer. We must never sink that low and big business can't be threatened. Make a ticket, wait in line. But if you need medication during chemo, that's denied. Can't we all just use the system? Here's appeals you can submit. Don't be moved by all these kids having an epileptic fit. Was the gunshot pre-existing? Please hold while we decide. Algorithms for your children, what's the value of their life? So to healthcare CEOs, this is scary stuff today. You should never have to face the things your customers all face. So if you don't like the violence that was done to you today, we appreciate your feedback. Here's a survey you can take.
Yeah, I feel like the solidarity is pretty strong, and I hope there's a way to capitalize on it before the capitalists decimate it.
Yeah, I think
right.
I think we're in the next few years will be interesting because they're going to push harder back to shut us down, and more people are going to be joining our side at the same time.
I really hope that's true. You know, part of the problem I think is that we're just a really big country, and people are, because the people in charge have decided, and I really wonder how they do they even have to reconcile this, or are they just kind of fine with it? Like, they deserve more money, but like, they know people aren't earning living wages. They've fought against any increase in the minimum wage. So most people have, if not one all-consuming job, they have 3 different jobs. They're struggling just to put a roof over their house, food on the table, education, healthcare. And people are kept so desperate and so like in a routine. And of course, the last thing anybody wants to do if they have a moment of peace or rest is like start researching or go like it's my great privilege that I can do this show, that I can spend so much time researching things that are really interesting to me.
Yeah.
That's a huge privilege. Most people don't have that. So I really hope we can, but I think we all need to brainstorm about how to keep it going.
No, we can't just assume it's going to happen. But I just think things are so bad for a bigger group of people. The mass public is getting a little bit less. They're getting weaned off of mainstream media.
Yes.
We're seeing hypocrisy in our face. You got all the people that, in theory agree with us on the left, center, middle, some on the right. And they're like, this is bullshit. They're getting it. They're seeing that this is bullshit, but it doesn't affect them much.
Right.
But I think it rubs, like Trump just rubs them wrong enough to be involved for the next 4 years a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's to our benefit because they're going to pile in with us and we'll see where we go. And like the fact that the right is on board with the healthcare killer, CEO killer, and
I do think
I don't know. I think we're looking at some I don't want to say it's a 60s violence in the streets kind of situation exactly, but I think we're pretty close to that. Like we're going to see some real violence, not just one guy. Like the next 4 years is going to have a lot of violence, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not making any predictions because when I'm right, I never get anything from you for it. And you wanted to claim your big victory on Matt Gaetz.
I called
it.
You
called it. All right, let's just do a quick crime, like a hypocrisy of crime. Is that where we are right now?
Well, I just wanted, I did still want to show that it wasn't just not the podcast boys, but like there's all this revisionist stuff. And I want to show the Chuck Todd and Chris Cillizza.
2 more of my favorites. Keep it coming. You just really want me to finish a whole bottle on air. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Chuck Todd, Chris Cillizza.
We're seeing this whole moment where they act like they're being honest, and this should be held against them forever that they're honest now when they could have been forever. And that's what infuriates me about. I'm glad to see it, but it's infuriating as well.
But it's all the Bernie would have won now because
Yes.
he's never running again. There's nobody primed to take his place. They've kneecapped everybody. They got rid of Cori Bush. They got rid of Jamal Bowman. What's her face is a AOC Pelosi, whatever. So great. Bernie would have won. And now we've got the Pod Save Boys saying that it's actually Mayor Pete's the one. He's the guy. Let's see it. Go ahead.
I follow the Hunter Biden trial very closely.
Mm-hmm.
I read every transcript, all the testimony, because that's what all that was made public. And there is, you want to read, you want to get angry, just as somebody in just all these mixed emotions. You read the Hallie Biden transcript, and that's Bo's widow.
Yes.
And essentially he turned her into a crack addict. And this was all happening in 2017, 2018. And Joe and Jill Biden were so concerned about their family that they decided to run for president.
Yep.
So when you talk about the word selfish, it's almost like the word doesn't, their decision to run for president put the entire Democratic Party and the United States of America in the position that it's in now.
Okay. Despise them, but is anybody watching that, or is that on some like rando?
Yeah, no,
screen?
that's a podcast. That's why they can say this shit.
Right.
But
I mean,
here they are saying basically that he was a liar this whole year. Like that's Chuck Todd saying he lied for the entire year. If you're just truthing this thing out.
And also since 2020, when they said that Hunter laptop situation, and they got 51 spy agency blowhards to sign on and say, oh, it's some Russian, it could be Russian, it has all the marks of Russian disinformation. That's election interference. I mean, that's right.
And the problem is these douchebags like these two want to act like they're wisdom seers, and obviously they could have spoken up this entire time to just do less propaganda for him, even if you're not going to mention any of this shit.
I mean, I'm sorry, but like, what's the place? It's not Georgia. No, who just canceled their whole elections because they said that there was like TikTok election interference, like misinformation in the, Eastern European, it wasn't Georgia. It was Moldova. No, I don't know. Anyway, but like having, and like first they refused on social media to allow the New York Post to even publish anything that was revealed from Hunter's laptop. Georgia. Thank you. Canceled their elections for something way more minor than this, but I mean, and you shouldn't cancel it anyway. It's so ridiculous. But like Joe Biden got 51 agents of spy agencies to say that this had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. And so all social media refused to let New York Post post anything about it. You could not post any of the information that was revealed in it. And now these two yahoos are going to sit there and say,
that's the most troubling part. It's like they're telling the public, well, they're telling the audience that's watching this, which is not the public. It's a smaller segment, right?
Yeah.
Because they can't say it on MSNBC or CNN. But they're saying the truth hurt Biden, because the truth was stuff that a lot of the public knew about this stuff. They knew that this was a selfish move. They knew he was not fit to serve. They knew he was covering for his kid. They knew there was something there with Ukraine. They knew how selfish it was.
Yep.
But his role on TV was to ignore that. And he's like sort of blaming indirectly the fact that he had to lie about all this stuff, because he lied about all this on air every fucking night.
Or even just by not talking about it. Like the omission is also a lie.
Yeah. Because
he's not covering it.
He's telling you he knew this shit. Like,
it's just so beyond evil. Sorry, but just want thank you so much, Doug Grinberg's. Cheers to you. How to turn Pod Save Midas Touch into FDR Search Dems. Let's do it somehow. Thank you and cheers.
We need a Pod Save parody account or 3.
Yes, we really do.
I hate
all right. What else do we have on just the yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry I'm pushing the narrative on this show too much tonight, but
No, I like it. Go ahead.
Along the same line, I need to show MSNBC on the same track we were on just a second ago.
A lot of the people who are falling in love with Luigi Mangione are opposed to regulating the insurance companies.
Yes.
That is how you could actually stop them from taking advantage of us. I think left and right, we agree. The system is broken. Insurance companies are bilking us. United Healthcare is that big for a reason. They're being sued for a reason. But like you said, they'll just replace him with another CEO and keep doing it to you. But regulation would actually fix it. They're against that.
They're against regulation because people don't want to understand that part. They want the catharsis of this one-man action that will supposedly, it's like everyone talking about the anesthesiologist a week ago, like, oh, that changed because of what happened. Probably not. That was a much more complex situation. If there was a general level of understanding about healthcare, if we actually have members of Congress who would engage healthcare as an actual issue, not as just a political ploy to be bounced back and forth, you wouldn't have these kinds of problems.
Honestly, I feel like you really want me to start my second bottle on air.
Why don't you start puking on air?
Dr. Jason Johnson, who called Nina Turner and Brianna Joy Gray the island of misfit black girls in 2016 or 2020. I don't know.
Because of healthcare.
evil.
He literally,
Yeah.
because of healthcare, he trashed them, labeled them, got so vicious about it, and they just wanted healthcare. Like the stuff this guy is like saying, oh, you people online are not in tune to this stuff. It's not as easy as that.
Just regulate. That's what we want to do is regulate.
Regulation.
Like the same people whose balls he sucks for a living aren't taking all of the money that they get and pouring it into Congress to fight against regulation. That's their whole deal, is to fight against any kind of regulation. Listen,
And
Dr.
Julian
Oz
Reed-
is about to oversee what is he going to do? The CMS, the same thing that Andy Slavitt, and great. I'll be thrilled to hear liberals talk about Dr. Oz because he's vile, but Andy Slavitt did the same thing. And United Healthcare, who Oz and Slavitt took hundreds of thousands of dollars from, are in charge of then regulating these people as they bilk, the privatized version of Medicare.
And look, the problem with a lot of this stuff is that where we on the left, or the science informed left who believes in COVID and whatnot, we get how this all needs to be regulated and whatnot, but like the union of the left and the right on that issue, we agree, probably on how we got to do. But the right is all on board with RFK Jr. and a lot of these picks that Trump has out there who are very anti-science and very dangerous for science. So the problem is there's a void of the left speaking up about the danger of these people, which has allowed a lot of people on the left to believe that RFK Jr., who's a fucking idiot, who's gotten millions of people killed, measles, we can go on, but like we're talking about getting fluoride out of the water. We're talking about like a lot of crazy shit is going to be okay under Trump because the left shut their mouths on science with COVID is the bottom line.
I mean, like everything. I mean, I know I've like our terms, and I know what you mean is like Democrats, liberal, like the whatever left.
I don't
in
know
our
what
country.
to call anybody anymore.
I know, like the left in our country is not leftist, but like the left side of the spectrum is center right in the rest of the developed world. So it's interesting I agree with you. Like RFK Jr. is nobody I would normally pick at all. And obviously the vaccine to autism theory was debunked, 20 years ago when Andrew, I can't remember his last name, that doctor like fudged the results to do it. And that destroyed a lot of people's lives because one, parents, felt guilty. They had inoculated their children and given them autism, which is, I think, been completely disproven. And this whole project from these, I mean, it did used to be like a liberal project, which RFK Jr. was a liberal, but has become now also a far right, where they have denied science and the efficacy of many vaccines that have saved millions of people. So that whole part of his project is disgusting. But forcing scientists who are beholden to big pharma to discuss in public the limits of the vaccines for COVID and some of the, possible health or, like, I think that is important. Like, I think truth is important. I don't think he's truthful. I think he's a liar about a lot of things. So I'm not saying, but like, I do think these conversations are important. And then everything that he says about like the toxins in our health, in our food supply, that I do think really needs to come out.
Yeah. And there's a lot, like half of the stuff he says is accurate, but half of it can get millions of people killed. Yeah. And that's the problem, is that there's, this is not like the problem with conspiracy theorists in general is that, they're going to be right about a lot of them because the country's fucked. And if your conspiracy is that there's a plot to make us fucking suffer and be poor and not get healthcare and, go to work every day and nobody gives a shit about us, like everyone agrees with that. But what's the cause of it? And his causes are 50% wrong. Yes, we should have all these public discussions about vaccines efficacy. But if you do that, you need to talk about where we're at now, because if it's all about blaming for something that is mysteriously in the past, that isn't actually in the fucking past, and you have the entire Congress talking about back when COVID, back when, it's
Pat, you're
Pat's
getting
right.
a lot of love here.
Thank you. Good night. Cheers. One good thing coming up.
It's time to retire. You did great. Interesting also because Bernie Sanders just came out and said that there are some things that he can agree with RFK Jr. on when it comes to poisons in our, I think the thing.
Yeah. So I can too.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's just interesting to me, and I'm not talking about you, but like the outrage directed towards him versus like Joe Biden, not from you. I'm not talking about you, but like from a lot of liberals, like they hate RFK Jr. They hate Trump. I never heard them say anything about Joe Biden, who actually killed the believe science idea on the half of the voting public that consider themselves Democrats. Now they're all like, oh, back when COVID and it's just a cold and I don't mask and I don't care. Right. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think RFK is horrible, but like pretty much anybody they would put in that position is also a horrible murderer, right? Like Rochelle Walensky. Nobody even knows the name of the current person because she's fucking been hiding in a basement, even though 500 people a week have been dying consistently of COVID every week since it started, I think, apart from like 5 weeks, right? Nobody even knows who she is. They hid the whole thing about the bird flu that is now jumped to cows, that is now jumped to humans. Nobody talked about it for a year because they were protecting Biden, protecting Vilsack. protecting his possible chances of winning an election, even though he can't put a sentence together. So like they're all horrible, and I agree with you. I hate all of them, but like I don't think RFK Jr. is worse than anybody else they would put up for this job.
Ooh, I don't know. Like the one thing I think about RFK Jr. is that a lot of the left, the Democratic Party left,
Right.
at least they think he's full of shit because their whole mindset is vaccines. And so I think there will be natural pushback on him by the people that I don't normally align with, but are closer to me than Republicans generally. Centrist
Right.
Democrats, they think vaccines are everything. So they're going to go into his position with skepticism, which I think is good. And I think if his role is to just provide skepticism, great, provide skepticism. But if it's a leadership role when he's overseeing all these fucking health departments, like that's a different
because he's
tack.
going to have
Like,
power to defund
he's
them.
got power to
and-
shape policy.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really fucking bad.
I totally agree with you. But again, I think anybody they put in that place would also like, just like, so like it's getting so late, but just like to go through things considered crimes, right? Or not considered crimes, because this has to do with all of that, right? The poisoning of our food system, that's a crime. And it leads to, deaths and disability and horrific outcomes, especially in a country that doesn't have healthcare, right?
I will be 1000% on board with him when he talks about why does Kellogg's use this stuff in the US when every other country doesn't allow that and it's safer and they have better health, So we should do all of that.
Right.
But trusting him on that, obviously you understand this too, but I'm just saying trusting him on that shouldn't mean you should trust him on vaccines. It's
not. And this is where if we had like an actual, corporate, but media establishment, like a fourth estate, which is supposed to be, confrontational to people in power and skeptics and reveal their secrets. It's the whole reason that nobody spoke up for Julian Assange in the US, who is in a position of power until just recently. So yes, I agree with you. We should have an antagonistic relationship with everybody in power. And I look forward to any antagonism RFK Jr. brings. And when he's wrong, I hope that there is an antagonism against him that is rooted in science, not just in, and again, I'm not saying like in petty, silly things, right?
Right. But the problem is the antagonism against him will come from the left progressive wing, who is still tuned into this stuff. In Congress, if he presents something and he has an audience in Congress and he brings in scientists that push a certain narrative, capitalism is going to profit. So the people who have donors who will benefit from whatever expertise is in front of them are not going to challenge them like they should,
right?
Which is just going to put on further display this facade of like whatever it is that hurts us the most. Like, oh, we can all work through bird flu. We could, you're not really in trouble until you get your third bird flu. But that's what we're up against, because when that gets to Congress, there'll be Democrats pushing back for PR purposes and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if their donors are like, dude, we can't have this. We need to go to work. We need employees. We need, hotels. People they're not renting our places. They're not, whatever.
Yeah.
That pressure will be on them. And then there won't be a left to disagree. It's,
but what's, again, like, I agree with everything you're saying, of course, but like, who would Kamala have put in that position, or Biden or Obama? right? Like they all suck. They all protect capital, and that's just what they all do. And this feels a little different, which again, like everything with Trump and his administration, will invite much more antagonism from the press, which I welcome. I wish they brought that to everybody in power. But no, I mean, he's horrible. Of course he's horrible. I can't stand any of these people, but I feel like there's going to be more skepticism brought to his reign than there would be under Kamala.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, listen, nobody's even talked about bird flu. They're acting like it's new. We've known about it for a year. It was hidden because Tom Vilsack was this lobbyist for agriculture, right? So like,
no, I get it. I get it. Like and that's the one thing I will say is like, we're already.
Good night. I gotta go. I'm joking. That's the best comment ever.
The Democrats are already trained to approach what he says with skepticism, right?
Right.
So I get that. Like, so it's better to have them approach him with that than somebody you might believe, right? So there's already more sort of like, okay, we're going to look into this, and I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that he's going to bring some questioning against big pharma that deserves to be there, and against our food safety, which deserves to be there, and environmental stuff, which deserves to be there. But nothing wipes us out faster than a pandemic, so that's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had some other point, but whatever. I don't see a good outcome with him. I don't know. It's okay. Bird flu, right?
Yeah.
I get you. These guys aren't talking about it. So is he talking about it?
No.
So he's not either. So, this is the other thing right in our face. He hasn't figured out how he can blame fluoride in our water for it or something yet. So,
and he what is it with the raw milk? Whatever. Anyway, pasteurize your milk, as Saul says, 100%. But again, like they've taken away masks, which was a liberals were supposed to believe science, and they've destroyed masking even in pediatric cancer wards. Like that's so I don't know. There's no good outcome.
But his bullshit does lead to the people drinking unpasteurized milk is the point. Like raw milk gets drank because of people like him that are fucking stupid.
Totally agree with you.
Pasteurizing milk is like boiling it for 10 seconds. It's like nothing, and what it does is it kills the shit from the cows.
Yeah.
It's 90% it's killing the shit from the
bacteria.
cows.
Like
if you want the shit from the cows in your milk, great. But that shit is where E. coli comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, it prospers and disease.
And
so
disease. Yeah.
Grow the fuck up. We're talking about
into
boiling
the dark
milk.
ages. Right. Kills bacteria. But here's the thing. When Biden, but in power, most of the liberals didn't even know that bird flu is actually our next pandemic. And now they're starting to know. And so that I know you know this, but like, I guess I just feel like, and what they would never do is at all call out all of the other practices that big business does to destroy our food supply. He won't do enough. He won't do nearly enough. He's going to do nothing. He'll probably do more harm than good. But I think if he says something about go drink raw milk, liberals are reflexively go against what he says.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree.
Know. It's all bad.
Danger also in like on some level, it would be easy for Trump to win a lot of these people over on the left, despite all the racism, because they're not affected by these policies, right? So on some level, if Trump's like, we're raising the minimum wage $2 and liberals are like, wow, first time that's been done in fucking 30 years.
Yeah, since
this
George
guy.
W.
So that's gonna win some people over. And then like,
yeah.
RFK Jr. made our food safer. Well, now I'm going to trust him on the pandemic. now I'm gonna drink some raw fucking milk. Like, so there's risk in all of it, but none of it is to say that we should have voted for a fucking Democrat. The Democratic Party is going to save you. It's to say don't trust any of these fucks.
Yeah, I mean, obvious. I know you. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I know.
None
We're not
of this
arguing.
is no. I know. I just like it's all scary and horrible, and I think most of us here are very aware of that. And I'm just trying to think of like, what's the thing that's going to wake up the most people? Like, what's, as Jeremy Scahill put it, like, what's the circuit breaker? And I don't know. It's awful. All right.
I think the circuit breaker is why we're all tuned into this story with the CEO guy.
Twice in one show, you've managed to do a segue right back to where we needed to get. Look at you. Look at you.
All the media training I've gotten from
it is. You know how to do it. Like you're like creating the whole narrative. So let's get right back into it with this could have been the losing VP candidate instead of Walz, Josh Shapiro, who loudly proclaimed, in America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint. I have no tolerance, nor should anyone, for one man using an illegal ghost gun to murder someone because he thinks his opinion matters most. He is no hero.
This fucker signed bombs to kill innocent fucking kid. This is like well beyond when we knew what the bombs were being used for too.
Yeah. This is with, so Zelensky's in the background there. This is from September and he's signing bombs. This was, but I mean, it's the same thing because they've decided that Russia and anybody Russian and anybody who has any history of being Russian can't do sports, can't do concerts, has to be banned. And he's signing bombs, like a bomb. It's one thing to, say like Russia should not have invaded Ukraine, should not be targeting hospitals or schools or civilians. There has been, that was an illegal invasion and hideous devastation of civilians and civilian infrastructure, no doubt.
But hey, bombs? I signed this card. When you sign a card, it's a gift. It's like from me to you, from me to your family.
Yeah.
Here's a bomb.
Especially knowing, I mean, even in September, we knew that they were kidnapping people off the street to basically just be, shields or cannon fodder to be killed. Like, would never have enough training. People know now in our country, Blinken is saying that they should in Ukraine expand the draft for 18-year-olds. I mean, men in Ukraine are trying to escape because they know it's just to be killed. And as Lindsey Graham has said multiple times, this is all just about stealing their resources. This is a fantastic project for people who can grow rich off of the resources that Ukraine has, the breadbasket of the world. So this guy who is, proudly maligning one person who took out an evil CEO is signing bombs to destroy civilians.
And let's just remember that this guy fucking lost the VP war to Tim Walz because he was in basically he had this baggage of the whole story is complicated.
The AG of Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah, he was AG and then governor, and through his whole course of this stuff, there was a murder of somebody committed probably by one of his friends of his wife, who they called it a suicide, but it was declared a suicide. It was declared a homicide, then changed to a suicide. And here's the eventual postmortem where they do an autopsy, and they're like, there's like 20 stab wounds.
And half of them are to her back.
And it's still a suicide, technically. And they in August, July, something like that, they're taking this case back up in the Supreme Court in the state.
Because her parents have spent tens of thousands of dollars fighting it. They had gotten it to a certain point where they were actually going to be prosecuting the person they thought was responsible. And then when Shapiro came in as the AG of Pennsylvania, he shut it down by saying it was most likely a suicide, which clearly it wasn't. So this meme on the right, which is so graphic and kind of, trigger warning-ish, just shows like he's trying to cover up a murder, because I think the family of the guy who is the likely culprit was a huge donor to his campaign.
Their connections to Shapiro.
Yeah.
And it ended it immediately ended his
bid to be VP.
Bid to be BP. So
yeah.
VP.
Yeah.
So here's the guy who's saying, "Oh, God, don't kill the."
He's got really high standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not a hero. This isn't exactly the same thing, but it is just kind of funny that Amazon and BlackRock are putting out ads for executive protection specialists because CEOs are scary. But going back to what's considered a crime and what isn't, just as a reminder, this is such a crazy statistic. 10 million people die premature deaths each year from air pollution. 10 million people. I mean, 10 million people every year, air pollution. 350,000 of them in the US alone. And many of them are in poorer, more marginalized communities because wealthy communities refuse to have nuclear waste sites or train depots or, tracks or, facilities that produce the most pollution into the air near them. So again, it's all sort of intertwined, but in the end, we all breathe the air.
And I actually thought it was Earth Day today because I was watching CNN, and CNN had this special, and I was like, Lila, is it Earth Day? I think it's Earth Day today. She's like, no, that was back in May or something.
April.
But they watched
April. I said April. Just in case April. Yeah, go ahead.
You said February, liar.
I did not. I'm going to screenshot our text. Okay.
But so my point with that is CNN ran this whole thing on the Earth, and it was a documentary about, Earth Day. Even if it wasn't today,
the billionaires and their jets and their, right.
Right. Well, no, it was more like, hey, here's a program for kids to pick up trash at a park to recycle. And here's the thing about how everyone should recycle. And here's the thing about how people in Africa are going back to their roots and preserving plants so they last a long time to save us in the future. Jesus. None of it, not one fucking drop of it was about the military. Not one drop of that was about getting off of plastic. Not one fucking mention of oil. Not a single fucking mention of oil in the whole goddamn thing. And the more I watched it, I just kept getting pissed. I'm like, you're showing these kids picking up trash in a park. Like that's a solution to this fucking problem.
Enslaved African kids who they're sending down in mines to make our iPhones and Elon Musk's cars or whatever the hell. And you're going to blame us for not recycling when we know that anyway, they go to the recycling plant and they show that none of the plastics really recycled anyway. It's all a big fugazi. It's disgusting. Okay. So
wait, while we're on,
yes.
Chevron oil, not related. Well,
anyway. No, it is related. They are evil. They're the villains. Yes.
Yeah. Bernie and his people and 34 people in Congress are demanding the Biden pardon Steve Donziger, who they should, because he was in jail for years over whistleblowing about Chevron.
Lawsuit. Yeah, his lawsuit in was it in Costa Rica, but on behalf of the Amazon communities. Okay, so yeah, in South America,
that, raise hell.
but like
Biden,
the fact that
he's not going to do it. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. But that he's criminalized, but not Chevron, you know? Then, you know, this graph I love to look at, because when, you know, Walmart and Target and Walgreens talk about having to close because of the shoplifting rampage, and then you see, oh no, the wage theft is $5 billion a year. I'm putting my readers on, Devin. It is wage violations, minimum wage violations, overtime violations, rest break violations, off the clock violations. $5 billion a year does not even compare with just general robbery, which is 0.34 billion. And again, I'm not like, if you're robbed, it's horrible. Like, that's horrible. Nobody, no one person, no like small business, nobody wants to be robbed, have your car stolen, be burglarized. None of that. It's all awful when it happens to you. Of course it is. I'm not minimizing that. But the focus is always on, you know, it's usually poor people robbing other poor people, or working class robbing working class people. But nobody focuses on these, you know, in the media, in corporate media, on the real criminals who are the capitalists, the CEO class, the employers who steal from all of us.
Yeah. And I mean, the obvious thing is we know why the donors like the wage theft. The donors appreciate everything in blue on that graph.
Yeah.
Nothing affects them. Like,
I mean, they pay some
even the
fines.
theft on the right doesn't affect them. They are the people with, they're insured against all that stuff on the right that could happen to them.
Yep. Yeah. Just, there's no accountability, because we have a derelict, captured media, and that's a real problem. And thank goodness there is, you know, there's a lot of independent media coming up and getting more and more popular and more, you know, part of, I think, many people's daily lives. That's who they check into. But like, until they really hold a seat of power, and then they'll probably all get corrupted anyway. But you know, these crimes are not considered crimes by most people. You know, you hear about the welfare mother, somebody who stole something, all the deodorant and baby formulas locked up at every pharmacy I go to, and Target. Like, it's crazy. Honestly, give all that stuff away for free, because that would be cheaper than hiring the cops to then put more people in jail, which only becomes like a reinforcing cyclical vision of, you know, us against them.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I went to Target the other day and everything is locked down. Like deodorant is locked down. I was going to buy some socks, fucking socks. I could not buy socks. And I'm like, I'm not going to push a button and buy socks. If socks are getting so stolen, people fucking need them. So I'm not buying them from you, you fucking losers.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And everyone should do that. If something's locked down that is like a necessity, like, I get it. You got diamonds or some bullshit locked down, fancy watch, something over $1,000. If you're locking down a $3 item, everyone fucking needs it. Don't buy that from that store. Fuck them. Make them pay the punishment for capitalism. You know, like, it's just so.
There's got to be something. I mean, even just like transit, you know, mass transit, if it were free, would be cheaper than all the cops they put on to get the fare breakers. Like, what are we doing? We are paying so much money into, you know, our taxes into the, and I know, like, again, like, I know MMT people would go crazy on what I'm saying, but like, it's the priorities. We pay all of this money, and whatever happens, they take our money and they burn it. Right? Whatever they do. But the focus is, I mean, Biden's leaving. He's pardoned his kid. He's pardoned the debt that Ukraine owes to us. even though that's a joke, because of course they're just like under our thumb. They're going to do anything we say. But that's just, again, another mass giveaway, just like Hillary and the Clintons and Haiti, right? Like it's all just a money laundering scheme where they take money and they give it to their buddies. He is leaving disgraced, funding a genocide, arming a genocide, knowing that he ruined it for Democrats. And he could be on his way out with the impunity that they keep braying about that's going to be handed to Trump, who can do anything. He's a dictator. Great. You are that right now. He could be doing so much for the people of his own country. Nothing, not a thing.
If he won fucking 5% believed in all the bullshit he pulled he said over the last fucking 100 years of his life.
There's a human right, he said. Yeah.
Pardon Steve Nozinger. Forgive a bunch of student loan debt.
Julian Assange.
Julian Assange too. Forgive a bunch of student loan debt. Forgive a bunch of medical debt. Like find ways. There are ways. I'm not just saying he can sign something, but there are ways he can do all that.
Yeah.
Grant people some sort of service to protect against COVID. Like, it's a healthcare situation. It's so important that, here are the numbers. Tests are free. Here are the COVID, all of it, vaccine for free for the next vaccine. You have to pay for vaccines now. Like it's fucking so stupid. So he could do 20 fucking thousand things he's not going to do.
Nope. But he's just and not only that, and yes, Jen Perlman just said Leonard Peltier. Yes. Also, meanwhile, Biden came in talking about, domestic violent extremists. One of the categories were climate activists and anti-capitalists. Their big thing has been making the definition of anti-Semitism align with the IHRA definition, which is basically any criticism of Israel, which is disgusting. Then they just passed this anti-communism bill that was basically written and supported by the victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. And it passed with, a majority of Democrats and, of course, Republicans, right? Handing, again, another piece of fascism to the incoming party. That group, the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, they count all of the Soviet army that was slaughtered or that slaughtered the Nazis, even though, 27 million Soviets were killed during World War II. But they're also counting the Nazis as victims of communism. That's the group that is now in charge of this, anti-communism training in high schools in the US, who consider Nazis to be victims of communism.
Where are we at that, like, it's such a weird, like, communism is such a crazy idea that we have to block the idea. Like, you got Republicans in charge where it's like, oh, speak your mind, wokeism, like let people talk, but they're like so against a discussion of idea. Like communism isn't a disease. It's a theory. It's a way, like, I just don't understand it. Like how we need to turn the right off about like fighting communism. We need to like wake them up to like, I don't even care. I'm not communist myself. I'm eventually great, but socialist, but it's important to like break them of this idea. Like, what is like, you think communism is like what is it? Like, why are you so scared of communism? Like, what is it? Like, what?
Listen, a lot of liberals are scared of socialism, even though it's becoming more and more popular and accepted. But I think the way to do it, this is why they crushed him, but is, policies, right? Like you do it through your actions, not through trying to not through theory and like the discussion.
Yeah,
of it.
the
You
theory
do it through
discussion
like,
doesn't
hey,
work,
look, this is what we're doing. Everybody gets healthcare.
I guess my
Everybody
point
has free public school. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but I guess my point is like, we should point out that it's ridiculous to not enable this discussion about things. Like it's more about the debate happening. Like,
yeah. Well, and the fact that the people who are supposed to be the party of opposition voted for that bill, right? So like they voted for the bill that allows you to Trump to decree that any protest group is a terrorist group, right? That anybody who supports
Hamas, and I think,
yeah.
Well, I think we need to connect that it's fascist to not be able to talk about communism, or like it's fascist to be like. Is this the 1950s? Is that who you are, Republicans? I don't know.
And Democrats.
And
it's all. I mean, it's all like, look at that. Like that is what. So like that just shows that it's all kayfabe. And it's 7:25. This is our longest show ever. And listen, I feel like you should go out on Deborah's comment. You did.
I'm going to, but you just put it up to please me because I've been like rambling for no reason.
No, I mean, I'm like, we're all so mad, justifiably so. And the fact, this is the last thing. I'm sorry. I just have to point this out because I watched this game because I was home and I was with my mom and family in Cincinnati, and and she went to Michigan. And so did my brother, so did my aunt, so we watched the OSU versus Michigan game where Michigan was the underdog. They come back, they win, they're playing at the Ohio State. They go to plant their flag, and it was this like great comeback story. And then there's this big brawl on the field, and it's so embarrassing. And meanwhile, like all these kids are being like, bred to beat each other to a pulp and, crush each other. So like the idea that planting a flag would lead to fisticuffs is not at all surprising when this is how you are. Like that's the whole sport, is smashing each other. Right.
Yeah.
But then they talked about how it was such a disgrace, and it's so disgraceful. So I think this was today, the bill that was just introduced by Representative Josh Williams from Ohio, proud to introduce, and again, this is just like what's a crime and what isn't. Ohio Sportsmanship Act to make flag planting at midfield a felony in the state of Ohio.
That's insane.
Behavior that incites violent brawls and puts our law enforcement officers in danger has no place on the football field where we crush each other's head, give each other brain damage, spinal injuries, paralysis, and the like, whatever. Anyway, this was the IDF today planting the Israeli flag in stolen land that they are now using the opportunity where an Al-Qaeda operative who was one of our most wanted, who now apparently dresses nicely and wears khakis or whatever the hell. So we're okay with him. He's no longer a terrorist. This Al-Qaeda guy, whatever, we're, funding all of these coups. But also Israel and Turkey are, just bombing the shit, and US out of Syria. Why? When we've just gotten rid of Assad, I thought now we're in the good place, but okay. They are bombing the shit out of this country. Israel is stealing more land in their outrageous imperialist Lebensraum. Like this is Nazi Germany like everything they accuse Putin of, Israel is doing right now, grabbing land from sovereign countries. And the US says nothing about it, but like a college football team is now going to be a felony. This is the priorities of our government.
It's fucked. And that makes it pretty fucking clear right there. All right. Should we end on something positive?
No. Yeah, no, we should. We really should. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
We're out of here.
7:30 and we're at. Bye.
We don't have anything positive.
You
Actually,
guys
we do
told
have
Pat
something
he was
positive.
right. I'm done. No, yeah, we do. We have something positive. Go ahead. Are you going to set it up?
Well, Bryce Mitchell, UFC fighter, talking shit about Elon Musk. I mean, that's a win for me. I could I could watch this on loop. I've seen
Let's just be really clear about who the villains are. We need to call them out. It is the billionaire class. There is no good billionaire. Every billionaire is a policy failure. They never earn their money. They steal it from labor, and by ravaging our climate, they are destructive. They are evil, and may they all meet their claims adjusters. Thank you all. Keep punching up.
May they all rot in hell. And just to add to that, I love seeing popular culture people like a UFC fighter telling it like it is. So love them for that. Love you guys for watching. Cheers. We'll see you on Sunday.
Cheers, everybody. Love you guys.
You've been critical of Elon Musk. How do you feel about his involvement with the Doge?
Well, I think that time will prove me correct. Time will always reveal someone's true character, and if you put that man in a position of power, his true character will be revealed. And let's just put it this way. He has all the money in this country. He's the wealthiest man in the country, and he wasted on fucking rockets, man. Think about it, dude. He could actually help people with that money, but he don't give a shit about you. He's got all the money in the world to help you. It'd be a penny to him, and you would never have to work again. He don't give a shit about you, though. He wants to waste it on rockets and waste it on all these cars that suck. And time will reveal the character of that man. And the more he gets under the spotlight, you can't fake it forever. His character will be revealed, and you mark my words, it will be seen that he is a rat bastard. And you know, if I had all that money, I would like to think I would help people more than he does.